Alright, the next classification or style of tank that's really you're going to see on the vast majority of jobs is a bladder or captive air style tank. And there happens to be a couple of different variations on how these are built, so I want to go ahead and show you on the PowerPoint here what some of the different possibilities are. There's two general classifications in these captive air tanks. There's bladder style tanks and diaphragm style tanks. So what you're looking at there on the drawing on the left side of the PowerPoint is what's known as a full acceptance bladder tank. So this is going to be an ASME code designed tank built to ASME specifications. But let's say, for example, that was a 100-gallon tank. There'll be a 100-gallon bladder in there. So that's a full acceptance bladder. And then that's also a replaceable bladder style tank. In other words, there's a flange on top of that tank that can be unbolted. That bladder can be pulled out if something happened to it. All right. Now, the tank in the middle is also a bladder style tank, but it's what's known as a partial acceptance bladder. And that particular tank is also replaceable. All right. But if it was a 100-gallon tank, the bladder might be 60 gallons, say. So it's somewhat less than the full size of the tank. That makes the tank a little bit less expensive, but it also makes it somewhat more possible that that bladder might get over-accepted and rupture. So there's an advantage to the full acceptance bladder style tanks. The last one on the right that you're looking at there is a diaphragm style tank. And that particular one is not replaceable if something happens to it. Now those diaphragms, they will they'll expand up as water is accepted into the tank, and then as water is out of the tank, they'll go ahead and lay up in there in that tank. But again, cannot be replaced. So least expensive. Now the rules of thumb that we have for these tanks are that if you have a tank that's 80 gallons or more, we typically recommend that you go with a full acceptance bladder. And that would be for TACO, a CA style tank. If you have a system that's 80 gallons, say between 80 and 20 gallons, we recommend that middle tank. That's the CBX style TACO tank. The last tank would be that diaphragm tank. If you're 20 gallons or below, we feel like that's a viable choice for that. Essentially, you don't want to get into having a really expensive tank that would fail and not be able to replace the bladder. So that would be the logic for going for some of that full acceptance style tanks and the larger ones.